Communication Predicament in the Music Classroom by Lauren Wood. So first of all, I just wanted to set up what my music classroom looks like. I'm teaching at a middle school in Brampton, Ontario, and the school is comprised of various cultural groups as well as different religious groups. I'm currently teaching grades 6, 7, and 8 vocal and instrumental music. If the students do not pay to join the instrumental music program, then they are automatically defaulted into the vocal program. And as a result of this, the vocal students are typically less engaged within music classes. And the school also has a specialized French immersion program. And this program begins in grade 7. And these students are all typically high achieving. The students have a 40-minute music period 5 days out of their 10-day cycle. I team teach with one other teacher. I'm also part of grade 8 homeroom, so I interact with the grade 8 team. And the other teacher that I team teach with has all vocal students, and I get the overlap of remaining vocal students. I also teach all of the band students. Typically, the band plays about 2 concerts a year, and in the spring they participate in the Canada's Wonderlands Music Festival, and on occasion the Kiwanis Music Festival or other Peel School music festivals. The instrumental students focus mainly on playing their instrument, and there is some theory and history also integrated into their program. The vocal program focuses on theory, history, and singing, and typically there's an interaction of activities that they enjoy into their program. So an example would be singing to instrumental versions of their favorite songs, karaoke, bucket drumming, etc. The actual physical setup of my classroom, it's a very large classroom, and there's 2 practice rooms at the back, and there's also a door that has access to the stage for concerts. All the students that rent their instruments store them in the classroom, and there's a drum kit and other percussion equipment that belongs to the school that's stored at the back of the room. There's chalkboards that are down one side of the classroom, and as far as technology is concerned, there's one very old, really slow computer available. So typically I take in my laptop when I need to work with technology because it runs faster. The school has some overhead projectors, document cameras, TV, VCR, DVD combinations, but you have to borrow these from the main office, and there's only a limited number available to sign out. So on to looking at what my communication predicament was. The vocal music classes, students in all grades are given many different group projects that extend for a long period of time, so approximately about 6 weeks or so. One example, in my grade 6 class, we did a lip sync project. In the grade 7 and 8s, they sang to different instrumental versions of songs of their choosing. I found that it was very difficult to communicate the project outline and expectations with the male students. They tended to be very distracted, they would lose their papers all the time, they'd forget to bring required materials to class, and were therefore unable to complete their project work during class time. The females were typically prepared, and they always stayed on task. So I'm going to specifically look at the grade 6 project, and what I did with them is put them in groups of 2 to 5, and they had to select either a singer or a band that they really liked. They had to create a lip sync with one of their songs and perform it in front of the class. They had to incorporate movement into their performance, so whether it was lip syncing, lip movement, they had to use the stage and their space effectively, and then they had to hand in a copy of their lyrics. And on the handout, most of the questions that they had to answer related to the elements of music. So they had to talk about the beat, the pitch, rhythm, dynamics, tone, color, texture, and form, which is something they learned at the very beginning of the school year. And they had to discuss that with relation to the song that they selected. And then they had to talk about certain things such as why they selected this song to use for their presentation. So I was left to question, how do we communicate with all male groups so that they can effectively use the classroom time provided to them? So that would include bringing appropriate materials to class, staying on task in a non-structured learning environment. And what would be a better method of communication so that students are able to have access to information that they need in class if they lose their handouts and, as a result, are always unprepared for class? So, my communication predicament arose when students were provided with written instructions in class, given time to within the period to put projects together. They were allowed to select their own groups. There was a mix of all female, all male, and mixed male-female groups. Typically, the all male and mixed gendered groups had difficulties with the following: coming prepared for class, which meant having their CD to practice with, a copy of the lyrics for all group members, information to complete the handout, staying on task, which included not playing on the percussion equipment. The females and the male-female groups tended to be quieter and sought out ways to make connections and form stronger friendships with the other members of the group, while the males frequently initiated conflict with one another. The males typically took a dominating role in the group and neglected to hear their female group members' opinions when they tried to share. Deborah Tannen's Genderlike Styles theory emphasizes the different ways in which men and women communicate or miscommunicate. Tannen looks at these differences from a linguistic rather than a psychological point of view. These different styles of communication can best be seen as two distinct cultural dialects rather than an inferior or superior way of speaking. So with respect to communication styles, men typically emphasize status and independence, while women seek human connection. With respect to asking questions, Tannen believes that men don't ask for help because questions are a form of verbal sparring and public face is more important, and it also exposes their ignorance. Women tend to ask questions to establish a connection with others, and when stating opinions, they often use what's called a tag question to soften the sting of the potential disagreement and to invite participation in an open, friendly dialogue. So with respect to status versus connection, men, they're comfortable with conflict and they initiate it since they see life as a contest, and they wary about being told what to do, while women seek human connection and not status, and this was seen within the different group dynamics when implementing this grade 6 lip sync project. So frequently the males in my music class did not ask for help, even though they did not necessarily know what they were doing. Many times their papers were left on the floor or the desk where they had spent the time during class working. And Tannen's Genderlike Styles communication theory begins to explain why male students do not ask for an extra sheet. If they were to ask for help in this case, the handouts that they had lost, they'd be negotiating their public face, and it would also expose their ignorance to their peers in the classroom. Another reason why the males in the class may not ask for extra help in handouts is because this would go against Tannen's theory that males like to emphasize their status and show their independence. Female students tend to always ask for help or seek out approval on their work from me, and this aligns with Tannen's theory because females are always trying to establish a connection or build human connections with other people, and this is what these female students were doing with me, especially when they were interacting in an all-female group. The male students typically acted out in class more often and more frequently, and they initiated conflict with other members, especially when they were placed in group situations that are not as closely supervised and monitored. Tannen's Genderlike Styles theory identifies that males initiate conflict because to them life is a game, and they do not like being told what to do. When checking up on group progress, "we're fine" became a typical answer from males that were in all male groups or males that were in male-female mixed groups. And the males did not typically enjoy to get any feedback on their work, whereas the females would actually seek this out from me. So the communication issues that arose in my classroom also connect well to the muted group theory. The muted group theory was developed by Ardner and Cara Murray and attempts to explain why certain groups in society are muted. They take into consideration the context of gender and just how males typically act differently than females. And when they talk about muted, they're talking about a lower status. So basically, people end up acting and speaking in accordance with the audience, and those that are muted are not being truly heard. So men and women perceive the world differently. They have a different perception of shaping experiences since they perform different tasks in society. Men perpetuate their power and suppress women's ideas and meanings from gaining public acceptance, so they tend to enact their power politically. Women must convert their unique ideas, experiences, and meanings into a male language in order to be heard. Children are conditioned from a young age to perform according to their biological expectations in adult life, and men are seen as the monetary contributors, so they take care of the family, and women are the nurturing contributors with respect to taking care of the family. Males in the male-female mixed groups took a dominating role during the class periods. Males frequently tried to take charge of all aspects of the project. The females attempted to give their opinions, but eventually withdrew from answering or taking on any leadership roles, and they let the men in the groups take charge. The females began to exemplify tendencies that were connected to the muted group theory, such as their opinions and ideas were being suppressed by the males, therefore they were becoming muted. So the females began acting in accordance with their audience. They spoke less, they did not control the conversation, they did not share their opinions, ideas, and they let the males take the lead conversation, which led them off task. When I circulated to the groups, the males would not let the females share their answers with me, and this was probably because they were trying to gain public acceptance from me. So here's my proposed educational technology answer. One educational technology solution that may help address some of the communication issues in my music classroom is the use of a My Class website, which would include an RSS feed. This would be a class web page that would have the functionality to add the following: announcements, upcoming events, lessons, homework, links, and resources. So the goal of the site with respect to communication theories would be a multi-purpose one. It would assist the male students to be prepared for class. It would create a framework for various communication interactions. It could provide a platform where students can access all work outside of class, provide better communication with parents and students to keep the students focused, and create equality amongst the mixed gender groups. So this is just a quick snapshot of what the site would look like. So under the announcements section, I could provide parents and students with a snapshot of activities that were happening in the classroom. It could be used to remind students and parents of important information. Upcoming events. Inform parents and students of upcoming events like tests, concerts, and field trips. Lessons. Under the lessons section, I could post daily lessons for each individual class. I could upload any documents or resources that were used in the class, such as worksheets, permission forms, study notes, websites, etc. I could post recordings if applicable. So this could be if the vocal groups were working on presentations together or even band recordings. Under the homework section, this would be beneficial to both students and parents. I could post daily classwork and homework, and students could access papers when they're absent for class. Therefore, they can always be caught up even when they're not present in class. And parents can easily monitor their children's work and see what they've been learning in class, and therefore help them out when needed. The links section would be used to share links that would be helpful to students. So this could link to online recordings or videos of music that the band classes are playing. I could also upload weekly recordings of the band and upload recordings of vocal music performances, and this would give students an opportunity to look at personal reflection. I could also link to the quality music research sites that are available online. The link section could also provide connections to enrichment activities for advanced students and offer support for students that need extra help. It could provide links for sites on music research and link to the Cosmo Music website, and they're the ones that are in the rental agreements with the students and their instruments. Onto the resources site, I could have a section for when students are using collaborative group work. It can be an area for them to upload their work in progress to share with other group members. And we could also use it to upload important documents onto the website. So this would encourage all parents and students to, I would encourage all parents and students to subscribe to the RSS feed, easily access updates as added to the site, and encourage students and parents to use the site on a daily basis to monitor classroom activities, homework, and important announcements and updates. I'd start to address communication issues identified in my music classroom, provide a place where students can access information they need without having to negotiate their own public place. It would allow students to hide their ignorance but access access information needed to be successful. It would also provide a place for students to communicate and have their opinions shared and safely explore ideas, and it opens the lines of communication. It's difficult to completely avoid communication participants in the classroom during group activities. These principles outlined by Genderlock Styles and Muted Group Theories were shown in my